or good morning, or wherever it is for you. Here is me, Victor Dmitrievich Huliganov. I'm here today to give you a little rant. I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world a sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. But unfortunately, there's one thing standing in my way. What stops me from doing these things? You would think, would you not, in these times of recessions, where many people feel that there is a real shake around. I'm not talking about a shake from Arabia around, they always around. I'm talking about economy being shaken around. Some people are shaken in, some people are shaken out. Some people are shaken up, people are shaken down. Some people, although they are shaken, are not stirred at all. But other people are shaken and deep stir-fried like a deep stir-fried Mars bar and put into big depression from the whole recession. They got depression, recession. So, that's why I would like to sing the world a song and furnish it with notes or play a song in the background to videos. It's not for profit, it's harmless, it's not stopping any of these musical artists from making millions of pounds while we are all else in recession. It's not stopping anybody from selling if they were going to sell. In fact, it's even helping because it's bringing back musical memories for another generation. But what do we have? What do we have? Well, if anybody looking around YouTube right now into the community of content providers, what you will find is that the content providers who use any music by certain music groups, usually it is English language music, music which is not to do with the English speaking world, is usually not attacked, which means that obviously the English speaking world is basically eating and devouring itself up while everybody else has the advantage that they can continue to be creative and we can't. In the English speaking world, the music, if we use any of the recorded music which certain companies think is their intellectual property, then they right now within YouTube are able to cause the silencing of the entire track of the video, or they are capable of destroying audio, entire video. It is complete and utter piracy of people's creativity on behalf of a claim, often to a tiny smidgen of just the audio part of the whole of that person's film. So for example, in my own particular case, I have probably 14 or 15 matters. At today's date they're growing almost every day. At the moment it is really quite disheartening. As fast as I'm putting videos on, these people are taking them off. And what is basically going on is, you know, I might for example have, and I'll give you one of the latest examples. It's called A Walk in the Northeast of Hemel Hempstead. Okay, the film lasts 58 minutes. It contains not only entirely footage of videos that I made myself on location, but also original insights into the history of this new town containing 80,000 people, and also interesting, well, commentary on life, if you like. People that watch my films, they might enjoy it. And I have thankfully to you if you've subscribed. Over 1,700 subscribers, so obviously some people do like some of the things that I do. So together with those 58 minutes of original content, while I was simply showing some gallery shots that I took, just some individual stills, I decided to put a little bit of music in the background. Now the bit of music which I took, I thought was Tchaikovsky's from Nutcracker Suite. And as far as I am concerned, that's what it is. A little rocky version of Nutcracker Suite by none other than Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky himself. Which, of course, he lived before 1922, right? Everybody knows this. So, imagine my surprise, but you can subscribe if you want to, just click the button. Imagine my surprise if you can imagine, I look into the list of things which the pirates have been at, and I discover that they pirated this film. So I think, okay, I go and look, because I can't remember what I could have done on this that would upset anybody other than people that don't like my outlook on life. Maybe they will be upset, but it's too bad. I like to provoke for the thinking. And I look and I see Trans-Siberian Orchestra Mad Russian Christmas is somebody else's property. I use probably a couple of tiny clips while the photos are going. I didn't even use the whole song. And they themselves don't even admit that what they did was simply just a souped up version of a Tchaikovsky number, what is completely public domain. So this, which they stole from somebody else, but they think it's legal because he was around before 1922, what's so special about that year, I don't know. Why it have to be this year? Because somebody dream up something that becomes legal that year that wasn't legal in Bible times, that God never intended, because if he did, it would be right there in the Bible. They're thinking, oh, not enough, you know, that what is already on the books is not legal now. We will pretend that things which have always been done till now is theft. And so from 1922 is a theft, right? So tell me this. Either something is morally right or it is not morally right. Jesus Christ did not come in 1922, whether you Jehovah's Witness or not. So tell me this. Why are you not thieves if you can take from Tchaikovsky, but I am considered to be your thief to use yours for my film? Most of what you did, almost exclusive, is from Tchaikovsky. All you did was play. Well, I took a little thing from you, part of it, and put it into something much, much, much bigger, adding in an awful lot you added from Tchaikovsky to make your little piece. And you vandalize it. Now the difference is, when you took from Tchaikovsky, Tchaikovsky's piece is still there. When I took your piece is still there. You can sell much of it as you like. Maybe even somebody come and ask me, what is this version of Tchaikovsky you played at such and such a minute in the film? And I look it up, because I didn't even remember it was some Trans-Siberia thing. It was in my collection somewhere. And I'll tell them, and they will go and buy. But now they won't, because you blocked it. You blocked the entire audio on 58-minute film for a piece of music you stole in the first place from Tchaikovsky. But you allowed, because it was before 1922 he lived, you living after 1922, this great big drawbridge grows up in 1922 just because some lawyers realize it's a way of making money for themselves. No extra great art started to happen since that time. Most of classical art is before that time. Most of commercial pep is after that time. So, sorry, but I'm getting very annoyed about this. There's no morality in what you do. You claim that you are on the part of these authors, creative people you want to protect. What about us? You don't get to decide in this century. That was your century last century. In this century now, with the new media, you don't get to decide who is the creative person there now. People do for themselves. My subscribers who don't have to pay, but they give their time willingly to watch my stuff and make their comments on the bottom, they decide if they like my stuff, if they consider me creative person or not. You lawyers, you people with the capital, you go to hell now. I don't need you. I don't need to be signed by you. I got what I want. I got my camera right there. We've got new media hosting programs. We've got YouTube. You should be signing now with YouTube, you VMG or whatever you call yourselves. You should be signing now with YouTube the best deal they are willing to give you. Because I'm sorry, new media and the internet has broken your business model. You come humbly now to table, like Napoleon in 1813 should come humbly to table, listen to what the great powers have to offer. Not like Talleyrand, saying, oh, if Saxony goes to Prussia, I will make another war. And then we have to smack the face at Waterloo again. So, not do this to us. This is first to the people in the music so-called industry. I call it music mafia actually. It's just a legalized Mason-riddled mafia. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. What gives you the right to vandalize my work for a couple of seconds of nonsense that I could equally have made myself on that keyboard over there? But for sake of promoting your artists and other people and not duplicating what they do, I can play Tchaikovsky as well as he can. You think not? You want me to go over there and start to play Nutcracker Suite? I will not make bigger mess, I can tell you. Anyway, what can we do? Now I'm not so much addressing music industry as my colleagues, content creators and providers here on this wonderful place called YouTube, which is under attack by nonsense people. What can we do? Well, there's a lot of ideas going around how we can manage this. One idea that I had recently was to basically, if you had a video which has been blocked for the use of something that they say is copyright music, then you could always make a protest video simply reading out the lyrics like a poem of the song it was blocked for, and release that simply by way of protest. We could start a movement of simply reading the lyrics of the blocked song, because it will show up the hypocrisy of these music groups. Intellectual property, if it is intellectual property, should be for everything, both the notes and the words. In fact, the words, there are very, very, very many words in a language. Thousands, tens of thousands that we know. And putting them together into original poem, that's much more intellectual property than making from 12 notes in an octave and a few varieties of note length and rhythm and a few varieties of chords that you can make together with these notes, maybe not more than 100 commonly used chords. From this, the music that they hold so dear, only because it's making them money, okay, that's no more intellectual property than the lyrics themselves. So, I suggest to you, just reread as a protest the lyrics themselves like a poem. You will be breaking their intellectual property just as much as if you had played the song. But I can pretty much guarantee that they will do nothing. They will do nothing about it, because it doesn't make them money. It's all about money. People don't pay for poetry, they do pay for music, and so when you read it like a poem, you will just show up how hypocritical and money grabbing they are. They will not block your video for reading the lyrics of the song, but they will block it for playing the music behind it. And that just shows how double-minded and hypocritical they are. And in order to accent that, it's a good idea if us people who have had our videos pirated for using what they think is their property, although they still got it, we didn't take nothing. We even increased, like I said, the possibility they sell music. And we don't make money from it. I'm not talking about people who are partners who've signed up that because they're putting adverts on the side, they're starting to make money from all of this. I'm not talking to them. You better make sure you got a clean partner. But for us who are giving, we are only giving, not receiving. We need to be treated a little bit better than we are. So, we should basically recite in ironic way, like poem, like comedy poem, the lyrics from the song, what we got banned for, what we got our audio blocked for, as a wave of protest. That's one thing we can do. I've been looking at other things that people think they can do. Some of the people on the internet have suggested that you can go through the copyright process of resolving copyright by saying, no, I'm doing fair use, etc., etc. Now, I've used this, and it's brought back video on one situation, because only on one situation I really felt that I had, according to the way their law is standing. I don't agree with the law, okay? I don't agree with the law, but as far as the law is standing and what they say you can claim for, it covers most eventualities. But somebody has noticed, there is a person on here, a few people on here who have noticed that if you go through the copyright procedure of claiming, no, this was fair use, I'm allowed, I'm not for profit, this, that and the other, that they will take away the block and your video will play. It's probably true that during the time of renewing or reviewing your claim, the video will then be re-available, giving you the benefit of the doubt. However, reading the comments from these films, and there's one film has about 1,000 comments, so it's enough to read about it, and you will see in amongst those comments numerous people saying, okay, for a while, because I then argue with this and say, no, I'm fair use under section 107 or whatever it is. After a while, although I got my video back immediately, what happened after that is whole account got closed and I'm writing from new account. So if you got a big account and you don't want your account to be closed, you really have to think twice before using the copyright system, because okay, a lot of us have simply had our audio blocked, pirated by these people using the audio scanning software, the pirate ship as I call it, and okay, YouTube hasn't threatened our account, so they simply blocked the individual videos. They punished us by taking away the whole audio, which is absolutely wrong, okay, but you see they haven't taken down many of our accounts, not in the way that they would. For example, if you got pornography going on, you pretty much get your account taken away immediately. I never tried to put pornography on, I don't agree with it, but I agree with also cancelling accounts which put up pornography, and there are a few more accounts I probably would cancel on here for certain other things as well, which are allowed to talk, and it's okay, let's have free speech, okay. let's be a little bit, let's have pornography on other sites that kiddies can't get into and things like that. But let's not have pornography coming in where decent people want to watch funny videos, and then all of a sudden something rude comes up when you're not expecting it. That's not right. So, because, getting back on track, because it is not, it's not something which YouTube appears to be wanting to do to get rid of people's channels. YouTube doesn't seem to want to do this unless it looks at the channel and say, well, this person is doing pretty much nothing more than breaking copyright. He's just making trouble for us and not really adding much, so better get rid of him. So I suppose in their situation you might say you might do the same thing. I'm really not blaming YouTube in this. Some of the videos around are blaming YouTube. I haven't blamed YouTube. I don't blame YouTube. I think that you've got to think to yourself, what could you do yourself in the same situation? Okay, I'm not just brown nosing to this at the moment, because maybe they have made mistakes, I don't know, but as far as you've always got to think, well, what could you do if you were in their situation? And I'm not sure there's much they can do when they're getting all the time threatened by the music groups. I put the blame fairly on the side of the music groups. They are in the wrong here. Not YouTube is the hero of this, not the other way around. Okay, so let's remember who is right and who is wrong in this situation. And YouTube can't just do what they like. Okay, they got to remember that they could get taken to court as well one day. So let's just think what the options are. If you go through the copyright review process, the copyright grievance procedure, without thinking it through, you could then find that they'll come back on you and say, well, this is a little bit, they're just abusing it, so they could ban you then when they didn't want to do it before. And this does happen, and you can read in the comments to the people that are advising doing this, simply using on a blanket wave of copyright anti-copyright claims, that some people said, I got my account taken away. Other people have been successful, but they should note as well that their names are recorded, okay, and they are saying that they're doing it with the goodwill, etc. And it's possible that they are putting themselves into liability afterwards, that they could be sued personally for the loss of income that the clever lawyers of the music groups might be able to think that they can bring. So I think that using the version of the copyright, I don't advise it. Okay, I don't advise you to do this unless you are sure what you are doing. You might even want to take a legal advice yourself about it. Okay, I'm not a lawyer. I could have been one, but I like to look at my face, so I don't do this. But I had quite a bit of legal training, and so I don't believe in doing this too lightly. That's why I want to go back from the park, so I have to stop in a minute. Okay. So, what can you do? I believe the best way for us is this. Okay? Some of the music groups, and I should say this earlier in the film perhaps, some of the music groups have signed agreement with YouTube saying, okay, we're not going to worry about it. Okay, you pay a little bit of money, etc. And actually, I don't mind to have a license, to buy a license in my case. It's my hobby. I pay for a lot of things in other hobbies. This one's about the freest hobby I've got, and also take the most time. Really, if somebody said to me, okay, your channel is such and such, you got to pay $500, even maybe $1,000 a year, what would I care? I will simply pay to get the license and be left in peace. Okay? And maybe if it gives me the chance to put adverts at the side, this will help cover the cost of the advert. In my case, I probably don't need, hopefully, if recession doesn't get much worse, don't need. But in case of students, younger people, their subscribers could freewillingly help them as well, or the advertisements could help them to cover the cost of their license. But people are not even giving us that option. I've rang up PRS for Music, asked them all about it. They say, no, there's no way. If you are going to combine music with other things like putting images to it, then sorry, they want to have it all individually agreed. Well, thankfully there are some music groups that simply say, okay, with YouTube we don't mind, you can, we're not going to stamp on the stuff coming up in YouTube, your contents coming up in YouTube, which means that they've effectively agreed to, in their case, the clips together with what we're putting them into, because they're not stamping on this. But because there are some music groups that allow and some that don't allow, it also means it's a little bit confusing. Yes, we are allowed to use some music, but not we're allowed to use all music. Certainly you can be sure that if the music is from China or Russia, nothing will happen. If it's English language music, possibly it will happen, because I said at the beginning, it's almost always English language music, or no language at all, like this rock version of Tchaikovsky is actually Russian music. In fact, the copyright probably belongs to Naxos for what was done by this Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and not to WMG. So, but that's not for me to decide. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. Maybe a few people out there can have a nice legal fight, but don't involve me, please, because I don't got a lot of time for this. I need my time for making videos. So, basically, what can you do? I've got to say it quickly because they're waiting in the park. If you're a video filmmaker, don't delete the things that your film is made from. Keep them there. Keep the file you do. Keep every piece of it in the same places. Okay, and then if you get a block, then you can delete that video and then put it in the same, just adding the word Redux, which means brought back in Latin, Pig Latin. And just say, this is different than Redux. Say it was the same thing again. Just save off all the old stuff from it and bring it back again, and just put it up again. Yeah, you can either change the existing one to friends only, or delete it, or whatever, or leave it there in case it come back again in the future, because maybe WNG climbed down and let us do it, and it all comes back again in the future. But you can. If it's just a small part, if the use of the music was incidental, then I suggest you don't throw away anything, because you need to expect, if you're using music, that people will attack you, the pirates will come. Then you can thwart them by rebuilding the thing again. Okay, it's time consuming, but at least for some of your videos you can just, for example, do it for ones that they've attacked which were particularly popular. If something wasn't so popular, you might say, okay, maybe I don't need to do it. Bring in with a different music from something which is either royalty free or from one of the music groups which have signed up, and simply redo it again and put it out again. If you're using something like Cyber Link Power Director, it's not too difficult to do. So it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be bringing back Reduxes, as I'm calling them, of my blocked videos. I'm not going to use the audio swap, because you can imagine on a 58, it's not that I'm not saying audio swap is bad, it's just not good for what I'm doing. I'm not going to take 58-minute video, okay, which only had a little bit of music in and had a lot of me talking, and then because this tiny bit of music caused it to get blocked, I don't want them to swap in 58 minutes. In fact, I don't think they've got any audio swaps that are all that long, but I'd have to check that. But in one case, in several cases, I've lost 3 hours. 3 hours. Mike Mendoza shows, James Vale shows, for a little piece of 1970s music they've used just as a brake bumper. Tiny piece. It's crazy. And Play Radio UK already pays a whacking great big license to PRS for music anyway. So it's even been paid for once. How many times they like to be paid for? Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Not YouTube's fault. We can take steps to do it, to protect ourselves. But you're going to have to do extra work. You're going to have to be selective of whose music you choose and whose you don't choose. You're going to have to be ready to recode and re-edit stuff which they've taken down, so don't delete it, okay, from your machines. And be careful how you use the copyright process, because I've seen in those comments underneath the people who are suggesting people use it, okay, on the one hand you got safety in numbers, but actually that doesn't work, because they're using machines now to create a tidal wave of piracy against us. So we have to be a little bit careful. I hope this has added something and that you enjoyed listening to it. I didn't put any music in, except for the bit of ELO at the beginning, which I'm not sure I'll use or not. Maybe I will, because so far I used it, nobody said nothing. Or maybe I will use a bit of the other thing from James Bond that I sometimes use, or maybe I'll use a Russian piece, because the Russian music seems fairly safe to put at the beginning. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I will put on the beginning some of my favorite Russian music, and then it will be safe. Thank you very much for your attention, and this has been Viktor Dmitrievich Huliganov. Good night, or goodbye, or good afternoon, whatever.